Okay, in this video I want to go over inflation, in particular for chapter 13. There's an example on page 275 in exhibit 13.2 that I'm going to duplicate in the Excel spreadsheet so you can see that here. But I want to explain what's happening when we calculate the inflation rate. In the example we look at a basket of goods for 1982. And the main thing is we have to keep that basket consistent. That is, the same basket we have in 82 is the same basket in 1994. So what I did is I just typed in the same information that you'd see in the example. So you see like 50 hamburgers, 250 gallons of gas, and 2 pairs of jeans, and the associated prices. And multiplying the 50 times 0.80 gave us $40 and so forth. We add those all together, we get $245. 1994, the prices have gone up from 80 cents to $1 to 70 cents to 90 cents to $15 to $30. The jeans got expensive, but we can now see that the basket is the same again, but multiplied by that prices is going to give us the new basket costs. So 50, 225, and 60. So those goods in 1994 would cost $335. Well, to find the inflation rate, or the CPI more in particular, what we have to do is we're taking, I'll kind of pull the formula up here, kind of see up here, I said let's take F8 divided by D8. Well, what's F8 and D8? Well, F8 was the $335 for the market basket divided by cell D8, which was the $245. And then multiplying that all by 100 gave us a CPI of 136.73 to 2 significant digits. Okay, so it shows us how we can figure out a CPI for a particular year. To look at an actual inflation rate, using the example on page 276, we're told that the CPI in the year 2007 was 207.3, and 2008 it went to 215.3. Again, we have to have some base year, where the base year would be a 100, and we'd look at the changes from that market basket from each year. But to calculate the actual inflation rate, what we're going to do, and I've done it here in a little formula here, is I said take B15 minus B14, all divided by B14 times 100. So to me, it's kind of looking at what's the rate of change divided by the original amount. It's a percentage change. We're looking at inflation rate. So the original was 207.3, 215.3. Looks like we have a change of 8 there divided by the original of 207.3. So doing that gave us 3.86% as the inflation rate, or if rounded up to 2 significant digits, they have it about 3.9% in the textbook example. One interesting thing I wanted to show you, I'm a big movie fan, but to apply this to something practical, if you look at box to office receipts, there's actually a website out there. We can look at, this is just something I found off the internet, but if you were to adjust ticket prices for today's ticket prices, what if you saw a movie in 1950 and it was 25 cents, and if you adjusted today's price, this website kind of gives the, in their opinion, adjusted for all time, the highest grossing movie. So you can see Gone with the Wind literally blows Titanic out of the water. That's a bad professor joke, but that was made in 1939, and the number of people that saw that movie times today's ticket prices, you can see well outpaced a lot of the other movies out there. But some of your top ones: Star Wars, Sound of Music, E.T., Ten Commandments, Titanic, Jaws, Dr. Zhivago, The Exorcist, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But in their opinion, even though Avatar maybe in nominal terms was the highest dollar amount, adjusted for ticket prices, it still has Gone with the Wind number 1. I also put a link in week 3 to go to the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, and I think this is kind of interesting too, because if you visit their website, they have on the far right hand side an inflation calculator. So it kind of tells you what is a dollar worth today. Remember in the movie, I think it was Kramer versus Kramer, won an Oscar in 1979, but he had to testify what his salary was back in 1979. I think in the movie he said somewhere between 28 and 29,000. In the Wall Street Journal, a few years ago did a look at it and said, hey, would that stay in with the today's inflation rate? And in fact, let's kind of put that in there. Like if in the year 1979, somebody was making $29,000 a year as a advertising manager, then in the year, say 2009, if we calculate, if it stayed with the inflation rate, it was $85,681, which was pretty much on target to what somebody in New York would be making right now for that same type of job. Another thing you could look at it in reverse to, if you could say in the year 2009, let's say a movie cost $9 right now, and going back to 1999, how much would it cost then if it stayed with the inflation rate? And we could calculate, and it says it would have been $6.99, and that may have been close. So one other thing to show you though is they do have the CPI calculator information. It kind of explains. It gives you a history of the CPI rates from 1913 to present. Gives you an example of how the inflation calculator works. Again, you can see they're using CPIs for different years for like the 1950 CPI 24.1. The 2010 CPI 219.7. So gives you different examples, kind of an interesting way to look at the rate of inflation. But again, inflation has wealth effects, and that's the main concern. That in fact, if you have any money in a savings account today, the reality is probably your real return is negative. Say inflation is 2%, you're only making half of 1%. You're actually making yourself worse off. So that's kind of an overview on the inflation rate, and hopefully you can have some time, get to play around with the inflation calculator and look at some different items that you remember, and have some fun trying to remember what you had bought something at years ago. And that's it.